Greetings and welcome to You Are the Miracle podcast. Yes, we're brash enough to interrupt your Super Bowl night. Because personally, I believe this topic is more important than a football game. It's just me. Y'all can disagree. I don't care.
Wow.
But I am Shan Kramer. This is my better half.
Donald Kramer. Hello, everyone. I'm sorry about you missing the Super Bowl.
Well, they might catch us afterwards.
Yes.
And that's okay too, because bottom line is this is an important topic. If you've been with us the last few weeks, you've heard us talking about how this needs to be the year that we're really helping our youth to get on a better path. Call it lifting up youth, call it listening up to our youth. I don't care how you say it. The fact of the matter is our youth are hurting. And it's time to do something about that. And the more we can bring people together around that, the more we can help people to understand what really needs to be happening out here, the better off we're all going to be. Let's face it, the youth still are the future. And it's up to us to help get them on a better path. So with that in mind, we are thrilled to be able to have our special guest with us tonight. Rick Mabe has been a friend of mine for quite a few years, and Don's as well, and has also become a very important business associate. He's the founder of the Hope Institute, and I think he's got some stories to tell, along with sharing something about the Young Mentor program that he has put together. So, Rick, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. Well, Rick, I would love for you to share a little bit about what's your backstory. What brought you to wanting to be able to help our youth? I get the feeling you got some stories here you can share about some of the challenges that you faced growing up.
Well, I do, I think. Though life has turned out okay now, I come from a broken home. Mom and dad divorced twice. Dad was an alcoholic and a drug abuser and a wife abuser. Mm. And we were abandoned and left homeless for a while. And so I started going downhill a little bit. And then when I was 14, my father committed suicide, or took his own life by suicide, I guess is the proper way to say it these days. And I was devastated. So from the age of 14 until I was in my 30s, I was just destructo man. I was tearing down my life, tearing down lives around me, and just really feeling a lot of pain. So I started looking for something called The Child Within with the help of my mom. And back 1998 is when I really had an encounter with God on a mountaintop. Sound like a burning bush story, I know, but and I received a message called Hope. I was told do hope, teach it, and write about it, and do. So I am. So I developed a hope process.
And hope stands for what?
Honesty, openness, pure love, in essence.
Yeah. And so now, how are you looking to apply those very four important principles to help our young people?
Well, one of the things I think that we all know we're facing is that our kids are losing hope. They're getting frustrated. They're getting angry. They're acting out. They're doing things that can be permanently damaging, like suicide or drug abuse or self-abuse, whatever it is. And so I think that, as we were talking about earlier, I just don't think they're being heard. I don't think that they are having the proper foothold in society to help change the way things are right now. So I started the Hope Institute in 2017 and started trying to do it my way. And I wrote a book called Hope as its Navigation System in 2013 with a workbook that goes with it, and started coaching. But it really didn't feel like it was getting the kind of grip that it needed to. And then as my partners here and I have been working on, we realized that we need to allow an open forum for youth to be able to learn hope, learn the principles, which are nothing new. They're all basic fundamental laws that we've all been born with, but gotten away from because of the programming we've received. So allow and help young adults learn the principles of hope, and then go out and start their own mentoring with people in their generation. I believe that's the key, and I think you believe that's the key. I think we've talked about it, and so that's what I'm doing. We've got the program set up and ready to go, and all we need now is young people to come in and watch my little video and listen. There's something I want everybody to understand about this. It's not Rick telling you how you've got to do it. It's not Rick telling you why you've got to do it. It's me helping you to understand some of the things that have caused you to go down the path you're on, some of the things that have caused you to lose hope, and help and give you some principles that you can work with to develop your own coaching program if you want. But so I'll be mentoring you. You mentor others in your generation to help us get back to hope, honesty, openness, pure love, and essence.
And the key that I'm hearing you talk about, which I think is so important for people to understand, which I think is extremely different than a lot of different kinds of programs that are available out there. You're really talking about a bottom-up approach where, it's about the young people who are closest to some of the challenges, closest to some of the heartaches that are being experienced, that can help to really take the core principles that you've written about and design a program that will work as they see fit. Is that really the core of what I'm hearing?
That's it in a nutshell. The only way that I believe we're going to be able to really survive as Americans and then as humans is to help our youth, young adults that are coming up, to get back into a state of understanding about what it is they're here to do. And so, yeah, bottoms up is the right terminology to use for it. And
Gotcha.
so, yeah.
Gotcha. Well, and you and I have even had conversations with a young man here in Florida recently, and it's scary. And he even understands more than a lot of young people do about what's going on. And, he's experienced losing friends to suicide. But at the same time, he can't truly verbalize what's important to him, what he really wants to be doing, what his core values are. He's still kind of living in this cloud. How do you see the basics of your program being able to help some of our young people get a handle on some of these things that they just seem to be floating about totally confused?
Right. And so the very first thing is that someone who is experiencing that and wants to do more needs to do an honesty assessment. Really, the person needs to get into where their current situation is and do what I call an assessment. It's in the book, it's in the workbook about how to do an honesty assessment to really get a grip on the current situation they're in. That's the very first thing they've got to do to help them get to a point where they can take action, is to understand where they're at now and develop an honesty kind of approach to moving forward rather than a denial situation that a lot of them are in right now. So yeah, that's, getting them onto the honesty first of all, because without honesty, without being honest with yourself, you can't move forward with your life and do the things that you were meant to do. And you can't deal with others unless you're dealing with it from a perspective of honesty. So that's the initial step.
Well, and I know earlier today, you had shared some information with me that, you've actually kind of broken out that whole component as a separate entity right now. Is that likely a good place for some of our young people to start in terms of being able to, get a better understanding of where they are and who they are and where they might want to be going forward?
Sure. I think that's, I've broken out each one of the components of the four principles into its own course now. And so, yeah, I think that's, getting an introduction into the hope process and then getting into the honesty assessment piece of it, the honesty of it. And the one thing I want people to really understand is there's nothing really hard about what we're doing in the Hope Institute. I think Shay and Don can, attest to the fact that it's pretty easy stuff. It's not, you don't need to understand rocket science. You don't have to be a psychologist. You don't have to be any kind of profession to be able to understand what it is that we're helping people get to with honesty and openness and pure love and essence.
Well, I would go a little bit different direction on that, because while it's not hard, I would call it simple. A lot of people may not see it as easy because it's not as much of the fabric of who we are anymore. So things that we can talk about honesty and openness and pure love and essence, but so many people have really lost having an understanding of what those things really mean. So they're simple, but I know a lot of our young people are struggling with these very concepts at this point.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's simple. The process is simple. It may not be easy to do because of where we find ourselves right now. And there's something else I want to say real quick to get to get a good foundation with people who are watching right now. Mm-hmm. It's not the kids' fault. Mm-hmm. It's not the young adults' fault that they're in the position they're in. No. If we can point our fingers at anybody, it's right here. The past generations and the generations leading up to now have been just as much programmed as maybe you have to believe certain ways, to act certain ways. The propaganda machine is running full bore. So yeah, it's probably pretty difficult let me just say this. It was difficult for me. I have been up and down and in and out about this thing. I'll be perfectly honest and transparent with anyone who's listening that it has taken a long time, and even now still, you never stop striving to become more of a hope kind of human. And to get off the initial starting process was pretty hard for me because I had been so damaged in my youth and my young adult life that it took a lot of work. It took a lot. My mom coached me. Other people coached me. I had a lot of people that were really pushing me. And that's part of what we do here. That's what I do. That's what Don does. That's what Shay does. That's what our partners do, is we work with you to help you get through it, to help you understand what's got to happen.
Well, and that's a good point. So, what is your vision of the future? I mean, if we can get more of our young people engaged in helping to spread the message of hope, versus if we can't, talk to us. What do you think is possible in the future if we really get our young people on board in helping to create this bottom up kind of approach?
I heard somebody say on a call the other night, man has not progressed. Humans have not progressed. And what I got from that was, it's not so much that we don't have all of these inventions and all of this stuff and all of these things that make our life easier. We haven't progressed to the point where we're living in harmony and happiness. We're not honest, open, pure love, and essence humans. We're always in conflict. You go all the way back to Cain and Abel. And that's when the whole thing started blowing up with conflicts and wars and all of that stuff. So my point is that if we can get to the point where there is a broad understanding and a broad and embracing of being honest as much as possible, being open and understanding that we have a responsibility and accountability because our Creator made us in his/her/its own image. And so it's our responsibility and accountability to accept the omnipotent connection that we have with God in an open way so that we can really start to understand how powerful we are and how dangerous we are. Sorry about that. My dogs are going to go nuts here. But how dangerous we can be if we misuse our willpower and our creative power. That's really key to the openness piece.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
I've heard recently, I've been watching some videos and such on YouTube where it's talking more and more about the necessity to be able to connect the head and the heart. Mm-hmm. And some of the things I've read recently, which just resonated so strongly with me, and I know they will you as well. You know, when we get caught up just trying to analyze from our head, from our logic, we often get caught up in fear, you know, because there's always an unknown. We fear the unknown more than anything on the planet, other than maybe public speaking, they tell me. But, you know, when you can learn to connect your head and doing that, when you can connect the two and stop just functioning totally from a logic-based place that can get caught up in fear, you start being able to think with your heart as well. Now you're able to access love. Love can always conquer fear. That's what I'm hearing a lot more about these days, is we've got to be able to make that connection happen so that more people are functioning from the heart, from love. Because that, in everything I've read and what you've written about hope, I think that's the core problem we have right now, is it not?
It is. And you talk about that heart to brain connection. I call it the honesty navigation system in what I write about and how I practice. And it all leads to the pure love, and embracing pure love as Jesus taught us. And as Jesus was, he was a pure love individual. True. And he had no judgment. He was just pure loving. And he told us in the Bible, in his New Testament, it's in there about how important pure love is in everything that we do. And it heals all. You know, we talk a lot about forgiveness and how important that is. And I forgave my dad for doing what he did, and forgave my mom for what she did. And I forgave myself for the things I've done. And I'm living a whole lot happier because of that. And so when I can go into a room, and I did this in a church the other night, and I was out there, and I actually felt like I was at a pulpit because he put me up there in the thing, you know, on the podium and all this kind of stuff. And I was out here talking to these people and stuff. And I looked them all in the audience and told them that I loved them. And they believed me. I could see that they felt my love, that they knew that Rick did not have any judgment about them at all, that I was loving them purely. That's one of the things that is hard, but it's simple. This is the whole thing. Everything we are talking about is simple when you talk about it, but it's difficult to put into practice because there is so much hate and so much, you know, the United States has strived more than any other country in the world, I think, in its short lifespan. We've only been on the planet for about 250 years, America. It's less than that, actually. I don't know what it is exactly, 246, 247. But in that short amount of time, we've abolished slavery. We've got women voting. We've got women doing things that men can do. We've got so much that we have accomplished with all the things we do. So the pure love piece is the one that will bring it all together in terms of each individual being able to go forward into what it is they're here to do in their lifetime, their essence. So, yeah.
I would agree. Do you have any questions, my dear?
Not really.
No?
No.
Okay.
Thank
Good deal. Well, I have one. So if somebody wanted to refer a young person to you, how did they reach out to you?
Just send an email. Rick Mabe at, what did I say? What?
I said an email to, and then you started. Go ahead.
Yeah. Rick Mabe at livinghopeinstitute.org. That's Rick Mabe at livinghopeinstitute.org. And that's how you get in touch with me.
That's awesome. Do you have a web page anywhere that speaks specifically to this young mentor program?
I do. It's mentors.coachrick I'm sorry. It's mentors at coachrick.vision. Mentors.coachrick at coachrick.vision.
Okay.
I think.
Sounds good.
I'm sure that's what it is.
We will go out to these. Please find, because this is streaming on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook right now. And I invite you to put those links and your email address in the comments under the videos so that people can find them. And folks, if you're listening to this, you're watching this, if this resonates with you, if you understand what we're talking about, Rick wants to talk to more of our young folks who, they're sick and tired of feeling sick and tired as they look around at the world around them. They're not sure what to do. Get in contact with Rick. Again, Rick Mabe at livinghopeinstitute.org is a good way to do it. And we'll put information under these videos. If you believe in what we're saying, you like what we're talking about, please like this video, comment on this video, share this video with other people who are concerned about our young folks. We've got a lot going on this year. We're going to work really hard putting together a live event in Raleigh this year about suicide prevention. We're losing far too many of our young people to that epidemic. And I think Rick has a process and a way to be able to kind of push that issue off to the side. Let's redirect our youth before it gets to that situation. Yeah. So we thank you for being with us tonight, Rick. Thank you for sharing your vision, and definitely make sure that your information gets put under these videos, and let's see if we can make a difference in the world in 2024.
Okay, thank you so much. Y'all have a good night, and hey, go watch the Super Bowl. Finish watching it. We're watching it over here too.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thank you. Take care.
Goodbye.
Love everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.